For those of you that weren't here, that didn't see it, they showed gameplay, they showed Tifa, and they revealed the release date yesterday, 3/3/2020, so March 3rd. And they also revealed that it's going to be 2 parts, and the first part's going to be Midgar. So before we get into all that, let's start with the positives. Everyone always complains that I'm too negative, so let's start with the positives, okay? The game looks fantastic. The combat I'm very happy with. I've been talking all this time. I mean, listen, I've been talking to people about this remake for 2 years. Like, this is... And people have been talking about it for years, 4 years, more than 4 years. But the last 2 years has literally been, like, every single day I've talked to somebody about this goddamn remake. Somebody has come on my stream and asked me questions about it. Somebody's commented on some video about it. Somebody sent me an email discussing the remake in full length. So it's just been like, at this point I'm burnt out with the remake. Like, saying that I want it to just release is not even accurate. Like, I'm just so burnt out because it's just been like, you know, I have this unique position where everybody who's ever seen me and seen the remake, like, has to know my opinion on it, which is amazing, and I love that, and I love sharing my opinions, and I love hearing people's opinions. But it gets to a point where, like, I'm just so burnt out over the remake. And so when we've seen, like, these new trailers and stuff, I really just wanted to see what the combat was going to be. I was tired of seeing, like, 2 seconds of Cloud swinging a sword, and then that's it. Like, I wanted to see what the real combat was. And they finally did that. They finally had not just a video, but a guy actually standing there saying, this is what this does, this is what this does, this is what this does. So that I am very, very happy about, and I like what I see. It looks fun. It looks like the battles look epic. The freaking guard scorpion fight was like super long. It took him forever to kill him. You know, they have like the slow motion where you can kind of like, they try to make it strategic to where, like, yeah, it isn't turn-based, but there's at least some strategy involved. They were saying that there was going to be strategy, and I figured that just meant when you use your ATB bar, but they actually have like a slow motion pick, you know, what you're going to do tactical mode, which is cool. They said specifically that they wanted the game to be played the way you want to play it. So, you know, you can play it tactically, you cannot play it tactically. That's very important. I like that a lot. I liked, you know, kind of how the ATB bar works. Everything about it, like, looked really fun. It looks like a fun game. And I told you before, I'm kind of in the mode now where I just want a fun game, and it looks like a fun game. You know, maybe it's not going to hit every single check mark that I want it to hit. Maybe it's not going to be the perfect Final Fantasy VII Remake that I've always wanted, but it looks fun. And at this point, I just want a fun game that I can enjoy Final Fantasy VII again with, and that's what it looks like this is going to be. The music sounded great. It looked great. They revealed Tifa. Tifa looked good, I thought. I don't know what you guys thought about Tifa. I thought Tifa looked fine. She looked really fun to play. Her combat looked really, really fun. So that was cool. Like, if nothing else, I'm going to enjoy playing her. Because I've always been that kind of, you know, up-close style. You know, I always play the thief, or like in action games, I always play like the quickest character, whichever has the most dexterity I always play. So like, she definitely looks like my play style. One little thing that I thought was cool that I don't know why it just kind of stuck out to me. I like how if you're Cloud and Barrett has a full ATB, you can tell him to use a special move without losing control of Cloud. Like, that's really cool, because I was kind of afraid with the ATB bar you'd constantly be switching between everyone to use their special moves, which is okay, but it's cool that you can actually just, if you want to play as Cloud, you can just be Cloud and then just have everyone else do their special moves, and they don't just they don't have an AI that just automatically does it. You actually get to control it and say, like, now's the time for Big Shot or something. So it does really feel like they took the time to put a lot more tactical, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not tactical action, but tactical parts to it. It's not just your cloud smacking stuff and your AI does whatever it wants unless you control it. It really feels like they did a lot to try to make the combat something different and something cool. It definitely does not come across to me as Final Fantasy 15 mixed with Kingdom Hearts. That's what everybody was saying, and it's nothing like either of those. It does not come across as Kingdom Hearts, and it doesn't come across as Final Fantasy 15. It comes across as something completely different. It almost feels like it feels very Devil May Cry-ish with the way you're running up and doing combos, but the enemy isn't really like, you know, like you saw a lot of parts where Cloud would run up and go slash, 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 and the enemy would kind of like stand there and not really like go flying. You would kind of do a bunch of like basic combos to build up your ATB and then do a big move. So it kind of felt like really Devil May Cry-ish, but with more tactical stuff put in it. So I'm really happy with the combat. I'm really happy with the way it looked in general. I think it looks fun. To me, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm excited for it. Again, I think that this really like shot a lot of excitement into me again, that I feel like I can pick up this game and play it and enjoy it. Sure, there might be stuff that I don't like about it, but I'm excited. Let me talk about some of the negatives. The story. We saw the trailer yesterday, and we were worried about the story because it was the first time that it really showed that they were taking a lot of liberties with the material. And I think a lot of people already knew that was going to happen, but being in the position I am, I've had to listen to, you know, like my video that I posted just recently about the trailer that came out. That video had hundreds of comments, and I read every single one of them, and so many people were still hanging on to that thread of like, if they could just make the story the same, I don't care how boring the combat is, I don't care what they change, just as long as the story is the same, please, for the love of God, keep the story. Like, so many people are holding on to that. I mean, I would be willing to say at least 60 to 70% of the comments I read are people saying like, you know, okay, I'm over the combat, I'm over it not being turn-based, I'm over all this, just as long as the story's the same. And yesterday we got the first glimpse of, yeah, the story is not looking the same. And this trailer it doubled down on that. It definitely showed that the story is taking a huge left turn. Me personally, it's hard for me because part of me wants to say that's okay. Like, it's okay that they're taking liberties with the story. They're trying to tell the story again in a new way. That's a new, interesting way instead of just carbon copying what's already there. But I also have to admit that being a person that has spent thousands of hours creating videos specifically dedicated to the Final Fantasy VII story, it's hard for me to be happy about the fact that they're throwing all of that away in this remake. Just from personal experience, it's hard for me to like sit here and edit a video for 200 hours about this story that I have so much, you know, fondness over and have read over and over and over again so many times. It's going to be hard for me to play this new game and like put myself in a mindset where I'm like, okay, nothing I've read over the past, you know, decade of my life matters anymore. There's just this game. Like, I have to throw out all the hundreds of hours I've spent reading wiki documents and all this stuff about the in-depth of the game. I have to throw out all these guides sitting behind me that go in-depth of the story. I got to throw out On the Way to a Smile, the novel that goes in-depth after the game. I got to throw out Advent Children. I got to throw out Dirge of Cerberus. I got to throw out Crisis Core. Like, all these games that I've played and known and loved, and all these stories and all these little intricate details that I've learned over these last and not even just me learning it, but like fans coming to my show and telling me all these little things that they picked up on. Like, I have to throw all of that away and play this game as if none of that exists, which, like I said, is okay. It's not bad. Like, I don't want everyone to just watch this video and be like, wow, he just thinks it's bad because it's not the old story. That's not true. I definitely welcome the idea of the game being a completely new experience. It's just going to be hard for me. I'm just being honest. Just being honest, it's going to be hard for me to sit down and put all of that, you know, up in the clouds and say, okay, I have to put all this aside and just play this game as if none of that exists. And then when I'm done with the game, I have to then always distinguish between the remake Final Fantasy VII and all the other stuff, you know? So it's just going to be hard for me. It's going to be hard for me to do that. Is it a bad thing? I don't know. I don't think it really is. I think that what happened is that they had to make the decision between trying to get as close to all of that as possible or just doing something new, and they chose to do something new. And I know a lot of people might disagree with me on this, and I'm ready for the flack. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for all the comments that I'm going to get that flacking me over this, but I'm going to say it. I think that might have been the right decision. I think that maybe trying to match all the games, all the movies, all the in-depth things that they've created over 10 years, and trying to put all of that into this game would have just been impossible. I think that getting Genesis in there and Zack in there and all the, you know, everything that happened in all the other games and movies, all to like somehow fit into this game and not miss a single detail would have just been impossible. So I think that their choice was to just be like, let's just tell it in a new, interesting way. So now the question is, how close is it? The question is, do they tell it in a different way, but the core story's still there? Or do they tell it in a different way and it's totally off? That's the question we have. So we're probably not going to know that until we actually have the game in front of us and we play it. But that's what I'm going to be looking for. If I play through this game and, you know, everything's told a different way, all the characters act differently, all these new scenes happen, but at the end of the day, all of those core, you know, themes of the planet and the core themes with the characters and the stories that they tell, and the story with Eris and her, you know, giving up her life and the life stream and Cloud versus Sephiroth, all these themes that we've come to know and love, if those are still there, but they just tell it in a new, interesting way, then I say perhaps they've nailed it. You know, perhaps they've nailed it. Perhaps that's the game that we've all been waiting for and we can play it and enjoy it. Now, if they don't do that and the game is nothing but a shell of what it used to be, and they really just focus on Cloud versus Sephiroth, and you don't have any of the religious themes with Eris or the Earth themes with Barrett and Bugenhagen and all these in-depth things that we've come to know and love over. I mean, certainly they can't include everything, but, you know, I want to see Sid's story. I want to see Sid going up into space and realizing his true, you know, potential and making, you know, making it right with Shara, and I want to see all these things. You know, if they can actually get all of that into the game, then, you know, I think I'm on board. You know, I think for the first time ever, I'm truly on board with it if they can pull that off. But we'll see. Next thing that's negative. They made some weird choices. I don't know how else to say it. They made some weird choices that I really just want to sit down with them and be like, why? Like, give me an answer as to why. For example, Guard Scorpion. His name is not Guard Scorpion. Now, I know everyone on YouTube's going to be like, wow, Death, you know, it's not important what his name is, Death. Just enjoy the game for what it is. I'm not saying it's bad because his name isn't Guard Scorpion. My question is, why is his name not Guard Scorpion? Like, what? What is the reason? You know, like what? Like, and like, because they decide to go with the American translations most of the time. For example, with Barrett's name, Barrett's original spelling was different, and then they changed it when they came over to when they came over here, and then they decided to make Barrett the real name. Aerith, on the other hand, went the other way, where it became Aerith over here, and then they stuck with Aerith instead. So, but for the most part, they usually keep the American translations after the fact. But then, like, why is it Guard Sentinel? I don't know. That's just, like, it's really strange. I don't know why. Like, that's just so, it's such a weird... So, whatever. Then there's, like, other things that are more arguable. Like, okay, Cloud has all these, like, visions of Sephiroth. Now it makes sense as to why that is, because the game is entirely Midgar, so they had to get Sephiroth in there somewhere. So now that makes more sense. What were some of the other strange things? There was a couple other, like, little things in the trailer that were just, like, little things that they just kind of, like, why did they make these changes? It's weird. During Guard Scorpion, Barrett doesn't say attack while its tail's up. Like, why not? You know, like, if you're making this game for the fans, and, you know, it's all about fan service, and you have Guard Scorpion in there, and that's, like, one of the biggest quotes ever from the game, like, why not say, like, I don't know, like, it would have been great if he would have just been like, attack while its tail's up, and he actually meant it. Or if he said, attack it while its tail's up and see what happens. Or, like, there was just some kind of, like, funny nod to it. But they just they didn't say anything. So that's weird. You know, like, I don't know. Just little things. Like little things that I saw that could have been different. You know, it seems like the confrontation with Cloud and Aerith, the first confrontation's, like, totally different. But, again, that's just them telling the story differently. So I'll leave all that to the comments, because I'm not looking at the trailer right now. You know, we'll leave that to the comments. If there's, like, something small you saw in the trailer that you thought was weird, you know, leave it down and tell me, like, what you think. Okay, last thing for negative stuff, and then we'll round out with positive. Last thing for negative. What is Midgar? Like, the game is Midgar, okay? There's two... It's going to be in two games. It's going to be 2 games. And the first game is Midgar. That's very worrying. Or 2 discs of only Midgar, right? Let's get it right before I say it. It's 2 discs, only Midgar, and then we don't know how many parts, right? Or do we know how many parts? Did they say 2 parts? Or it is... See, they could have been a lot, like, more... They could have said this a lot better, because it's more... They're not very clear. So, like, it's Midgar, it's 2 discs, and then we don't know how many parts it's going to be. It's just Midgar. So we don't know yet. But they did say that it's going to take up 2 discs. All right. Well, we'll not discuss that then, because we don't know, because they weren't super clear on it. So yeah, that's one negative, I guess, is they weren't very clear on it. But we do know that the first experience we get, whether or not it's 1 game or 2 discs or whatever, the first experience we get is going to be just Midgar. So my question is, what's Midgar? Is it going to be super open? Is it going to be like... Because they say if it's going to be 2 discs of Midgar, it's got to be huge. It cannot be just, like... It cannot just be story-based. There's no way. Like, there can't be 2 discs of story. Not that much happens in Midgar. So either they added a bunch of story, or it's going to be like the first mission is the bomb mission, maybe the second mission is the second bomb mission, And then it opens up and it's just like this huge thing where you're just going around Midgard doing stuff. And then you kind of slowly do the scenes that were in the original game. That's honestly what I'm thinking. I think it's going to be like super open, and you're just going to slowly get into those scenes that you recognize from the original game. And then it'll end with them leaving, or, you know, whatever. It'll start with the bomb mission. It'll end with them leaving Midgard, but then the whole middle is going to be like this long journey through Midgard that will have certain points that we remember from the original game. That's what I think it's going to be, but we don't know. And it's unfortunate that they didn't really say exactly how the game's going to be, you know, structured. Like, and I wish they did, because now that it's pre-orderable, I wish I knew what I was pre-ordering, because I don't really know what the game is yet. I don't know if it's an open world game with a couple story quests in it, or if it's like, because at first glance it definitely just looks like it's a big story game and that's it. But there's no way, if it's 2 discs, there's no way it's just story driven. There's got to be something else to it, and they didn't really say. So those are my negatives. I think, you know, the whole story thing we talked about, and then the kind of strange little choices they made, and then the fact that we just don't really know what the structure of the game is yet. But as for positives, man, you know, it's looking really fun. It's looking really good. I'm impressed with what they did. And I'm happy to learn to, you know, see more. I don't think we're really going to learn much from the demos that are at E3. It's probably just going to be the gameplay that they showed on screen. I'm sure people are probably going to say, like, it's really fun because it looked really fun, but I don't think we're going to get any, like, massive looks into the game from that. I think we saw pretty much everything we're going to see. I hope within the next 24 hours they come out and say something about, like, they kind of reiterate what the discs are going to be and how many games it's actually going to be, and maybe even what the core game is going to be like, but I don't think they'll do that. But it would be nice if they at least came out and said, like, hey, it's 2 discs and 1 CD case for $60, or, oh, it's $60 now, $60 later, or whatever. Like, at least tell us, like, what we're getting into. So, but yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about it. We can stick around and talk a little more about it, but that's all I really have. I'm really excited. I think it looks fun. Like I said, I'm still in the camp where I just wanted a fun game, and I just really didn't know if I was going to get a fun game until now. I really just didn't know what the heck it was going to be. And now that I've seen it, and they've actually taken the time to explain it to us, they didn't just show us a stupid video and say, like, figure it out. They actually had freaking Tetsuya come out and say, this is what it's freaking going to be. So that was very, very nice that they did that. They're finally actually taking the time to talk to their fans and be like, this is what it's freaking going to be. So, enough of the, like, guessing. This is what it's going to be. So, and like I said, it would have ruined the entire E3 for me if they had said, here's the pre-order, you still have no idea what it is. At least we know now, what we're getting ourselves into. So please, keep the discussion alive. Comment down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of the trailers. Tell me what you think about the future. Has your opinion changed since my previous video where we all talked about what we thought was going to happen? Are you on board now? Are you more on board now than you were before? That's kind of where I'm at. I wasn't on board before, and I'm more on board now. I think that if they can tell the story in a different way that still gets the core story down, then I think I'm gonna be in there. I'm gonna be really excited about it. Let me read this real quick. Remaking Final Fantasy VII has allowed us to dive much deeper into the world. The game design was optimized for this title as well, and we anticipate 2 Blu-ray discs worth of gameplay content. The first game in this project expands the story of Midgar and is such an elaborate... So it's just... All we know is that the first game is Midgar and that it might be 2 discs. So that's kind of all we know. Let's look at the... before I go... before we end this, let's look at this real quick. Pre-order now, first class edition. You get the Cloud, Strife, and Hardy Daytona box set. It's the sculpture. Then we get the bonus Summon Materia DLC. Carbuncle, Cactuar, and Chocobo Chick. That's kind of different. So there's Summon Materia DLC. That's scary. But I mean, at least it's that. I don't know about that. Then we got game on 2 discs. There it is. So it is 2 discs then. They said during the thing that it might be 2 discs, but this says 2 discs. So then you get the Sephiroth book, steelbook case. You get an art book, which actually looks really big and cool. And you get the soundtrack CD. So that's really all you get, is just the sculpture and the soundtrack and the DLC and the art book. So, you know, your typical thing there. That's kind of what everyone does nowadays. But yeah, I'm a little worried about Summon Materia DLC, but what are you gonna do? You know, that's the way it is. And it's a new game. They're doing it in the vein of new games, and so it's not surprising to me that they have that. I don't know. That's the kind of thing that we just have to play the game to see. What are these? The first game in this project will be set in the Electric City of Midgar and presents a fully standalone gaming experience that provides a great starting point to the series. So that's all we know. We have no idea how many parts it's going to be. Yeah, so that's all we know. So yeah, you know, in conclusion, I'm excited. It looks good. They're making some bad decisions, but every company does nowadays, so I'm not surprised. But overall, I'm excited. I'm more excited now than I was before, which is which is good. I'm not going downhill. I'm going uphill. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you are more on board now than you were before. If anything here specifically made you say, I'm going to buy it or I'm not going to buy it. Or just what your general thoughts are. And I will do my best to read everything and to kind of throw in my thoughts here and there as they continue to evolve, because I just now saw it. So, but yeah, I'm thinking on the good side. I'm excited.